Oh, there he is. Hey, I missed you last week, kinda, a little bit.
How was your holiday?
It wasn't a holiday; it was a work trip. Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We started the show. I talked. Get this, Eric. We're at one of the new country establishments there, and there's a band playing. Me and some clients, and we, how they want. It's like Nashville. You throw some money in the bucket. Sure. And we give him a couple of softballs with George Strait. And, I think I said Randy Travis. I'm a big Three Wooden Crosses. I think that's the greatest song ever written. Next to Hard Candy Christmas by Dolly Parton. But anyway, so we throw, and then I said, okay, the next 20, I'm going to challenge him. And he's like, what do you want? And I said, Matchbox 20. And he goes, coming up next after this. And they went into Tonic, which was another 90s banger, like 96, 97, if you could only see. Then they went back-to-back Matchbox 20, killed it. Then they got us in the palm of their hands. You know what it's like. And then they're like, we go another 20. And so then they go, what do you want to hear next? I said, do you know any Three Doors Down? The band laughs. So they rock out Kryptonite to a T, and then he does acoustic version of I'm Here Without You. Unreal.
You're emptying your wallet the whole time. Love it.
I'm a live music nut, man. I did see Jake Owen at an amphitheater. It was one of the worst concerts I've ever seen in my life there, too. So.
Oh, is that right? It's amazing when you go to Nashville or Austin, I've been to, and you go and it's the same thing. It's a $20, put it in the tent, and they'll just take your requests. Like, they have all the technology now, right? You could give them a song they've never even heard of before. Now, clearly that band you were talking about knew the songs, and that was their era, and they loved it, and they thrived on it. But you can give people songs in those places that they've never heard of before, but they'll just tap it out on their little on their iPhone, and up come the chords for the band and the words for the singer, and they figure it out. It's amazing.
If you could drum one song, what's your go-to? Because I know you drum.
Wow, the solo that I could do.
Curtis says Phil Collins in the air.
That everybody could do the solo from Standing in the Dark from Platinum Blonde. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, that's a good question, man. I don't really have one song, maybe Walk This Way, but I'd want to do the Run DMC version.
Oh.
A little hi-hat. Anyway, we're not getting into that. The beatbox.
I got to get to Calgary this summer. There's so many reasons to go to Calgary.
Yeah, you gotta come. You gotta come.
Sorry, Matt.
Speaking of that, before we jump into the playoffs, so it was garbage bag day Saturday at the Saddle Dome. They should have just put the whole thing in a bag and took it away. But it was just the players this time around. Was that Sayonara Rasmus Anderson? Is that the last time we see him do it was a, kind of thing underneath the bowels of the dome? I know, it was great. No, it was great, but I'm just wondering, is he gone?
Yeah, I mean, that's the column I wrote, that it sure felt like a farewell press conference. And I'm not sure he knows, he might not even know that right now, but I think when he starts delving into the numbers, looking at his options, and realizing that he's either going to have to sign this summer, or the Flames will have no choice but to trade him. I don't know why. I've said this a million times in this spot, I don't know why any player would sign a year ahead of when they have to sign. When all indications are the cap's going to keep going up over the next several years, why would you sign on the dotted line now when in a year from now there will be more suitors, more money, more opportunities? Now, every guy's different. Maybe there's the odd case where a guy just says, look, I'm taking a bird in the hand as opposed to wondering what my future is. I want to sign and have that guaranteed life-changing money for now. But I don't see why he'd sign now. He even kind of intonated that. He goes, I just swallowed a bunch of minuses. He had a great quote, but he was minus 38 this year, third worst in the league. The second worst on the Flames was minus 17. His defense partner was minus 7. That's pretty damning, right? Like, and there's a real love-hate in this city. I don't know what half, a percentage of people are anti-Anderson and like, I'll sell my season tickets if you sign him long-term, which is ridiculous. But that's the loud, crowd. And then the other portion is just kind of like, look, this guy will block anything. He just told us this garbage bag day. He played the last 12 games with a broken fibula. Like, this guy's a warrior and I think a pretty good teammate, but it'll all come down to money. Flames are not going to be willing to pay him top dollar. He's going to believe, he's going to have a number in mind. It's going to be way higher than what the Flames are willing to offer. There's no way they come to terms on a deal this summer. So that means they have to trade him. To me, it's just pretty logical that that's the way it's going to unfold.
I didn't read your piece, but I heard the boys on Calgary 960 this morning, Fan 960 talking about it. They talked about your piece, and then they were playing the clips because I didn't hear them until this morning, and I was like, "Yeah, you might as well put the Green Day "Time of Your Life" song behind it because he gone." Like,
I think so. Like, and he's going to be 30 when his new deal kicks in. He's 28 now, but he's looking to hit the 7 or 8 year home run, right? And wrap this thing up with a bow. That's what every guy around 30 wants to do. And there's no way that jives with the Flames timelines because they're not going to be competitive, like seriously competitive. Like I think we can talk about it. Like I think they're moving in an incredibly positive direction. Thought this year was a huge success, even though they didn't make the playoffs. I can give you about 18 reasons why. But them being legit contenders, like for the Cup, that's not for 3 or 4 years from now, still in my mind. And by that time, Anderson's numbers are really going to be on the dip.
Playoffs started Saturday. Game 1, Winnipeg, St. Louis.
What?
I think a lot of us were intrigued. What? Okay, Eric, I know you and I were both watching WrestleMania Night 1 from Vegas, but the NHL playoffs started, and there was a couple of games. Winnipeg, St. Louis, and then Dallas, Colorado. I thought Winnipeg looked a little tight to start the game, understandable, and St. Louis, Robert Thomas played well, but then in the end, the Jets, that depth, they just came through and overpowered him, that Scheifele goal. By the end of the game, they looked dominant. And not that St. Louis isn't skilled, but the Jets just look that much better.
Yeah, I picked the Blues to win that series. So that means Winnipeg will win it. And I feel like they threw their biggest punch right off the bat, and it knocked the Jets back a little bit. Early in that game, it was like, whoa, is this... I think people in Winnipeg are probably clinching a little going, we've seen this game before. And then by the end, Winnipeg calmed down and played their game and took over the game and may very well take over the series. I don't know. But I thought that it was a really, really good counterpunch by the Jets and show their depth. I'm not giving up on my pick if that's what you're about to make fun of me for. I still think the Blues can win it.
I think people in Winnipeg are still going, no. We won the first game last year. Let's just pump the brakes. And So has there been anything that surprised you in the game so far across the board or not really?
Not really. I mean, one thing that I definitely expected too was that Battle of Ontario. You knew it was going to get ugly at some point. Like, there's just a good history there. Any team that's captained by Brady Tkachuk's going to always push back if they lose a game. Doesn't surprise me that it was a laundry list of penalties at the end of that game. Pretty comical clip from the ref, actually, as he listed off everybody on the ice, got 2 minutes for roughing.
His full scap he had.
Yeah, his little Coles Notes cheat sheet. By the way, what age is it that people have no idea what a Coles Note is?
If you're under 30, trust me, I've used it and it's crickets. Colson isn't here today, but Curtis and the sheriff, Big Al, you guys have any idea what Coles Notes are?
Well, I Googled it, so it's the thing you use.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that like just abbreviated version?
Like
Technically,
there was
yes.
nothing. nothing that helped me more in my life than Cole's notes for when we did Shakespeare in high school. Like, I still don't know what that guy's talking about. And you get Cole's notes, right? I know, I just gave you some flashbacks. You're so lost. The teacher's reading it with such authority, and then he chooses people around the room to read it, and nobody has a clue what's going on. And you go home that night, and you grab your Cole's notes, and you go, yeah, I get it now.
There was always a few kids that were like right in, and the teacher just loved them. And I think they were gathering after school and all sitting around and reading Shakespeare. And it's like, what is this guy, like you said, what is he talking about? And why do I need to know this? Like, just like pie and all that crap. Why do I need to know this? How about I balance a budget?
So all those people in that class that knew what was being said when Shakespeare was being read, what are they doing now? Are they all in IT? Are they running corporations, or are they all just artsy fartsies that are working in the theater? Guaranteed one of the gentlemen was all over social media doing the pre-voting this weekend. He was in a certain colored sweater. Guaranteed he was one of them. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go sideways here in a hurry. Los Angeles is turning into a sexy pick over Edmonton. I thought I was onto something as I fill out my Keniston Super Draft here. It's become popular. Yeah, I picked LA as well, and look, the history's not good. What Oilers beat them 3 years in a row. I think they've won a total of 7 games over those 3 series. LA has, but they just set a franchise record for points this year. Like that surprises me. Like with those Gretzky teams and stuff, you thought. But then again, they had Rudy, so nobody stopped the puck. But I don't know. But anyway, the point is, I like that Kings pick too. I really am excited about that series.
What about David Goddard? He was the backup goalie, wasn't he, in NHL 93 in Genesis?
That is a hell of a pull right there. Every time I see those goalies from the 90s, and like I always say to Rudy, like, why didn't you mix a save in every once in a while? Like, just for giggles, like all the guy, I think that Mike Bossy is the most underrated goal scorer in the history of the game. But he scored like 90% of his goals 2 strides over the blue line, lets the clapper go far side, and it's yard sale for Kelly Rudy. His helmet and his gloves go flying off, and he had no chance on it because his pads were, an inch thick. But so, he was a great goal scorer, and his goals per game, I think, is like 3rd all time. But does it really count? Because all it was is he had the hardest shot in an era where goalies couldn't save anything outside of 20 feet.
Well, here, if you're an LA Kings fan, you better hope that Darcy Kemper stays healthy and nothing happens to him. Because if you got to go to Big Save Dave Riddick, it's all over for the Kings. Like the fact that somebody picked him up after the Flames, if the Flames are not re-signing you, that should be a good sign that maybe you're not long for the league. But Big Save Dave has managed to survive a couple of years in LA, but he is not the answer if Kemper goes down. I like Kemper. Good Western Hockey League guy. How can you not like that?
His numbers are sick, guys. Like, I was filling out my ballot for the Vezina, and actually, we don't do the Vezina. We have to do the All-Star team for the goalies, and All-Star team for everybody, but amongst other things. So we do all the major awards. But when I was looking at the goaltenders, like, you guys tell me, okay, obviously Hellebuck wins everything. He's the best goalie by 100 miles. He's number 1 on my Hart Trophy ballot too, which I don't think I've ever voted for a goalie. But I put him on there because he was that much better. But you look at number 2 and 3 in the league, I always thought it was Ottinger, maybe Thompson in Washington. You look at the numbers, it's really obvious. Kemper had the 2nd best numbers in the National Hockey League this year. So people, nobody watches the Kings, out on the West Coast because it's so late. But they've quietly gone about doing what they've done because of guys like Kemper. Well, only because of Kemper, because as you said, Riddick, he ain't getting the job done.
It was David Goverty, not David Goddard. I knew it was something like that. David
Goverty. Wow.
Yeah. And then Rick Knickel was pushing him for the backup spot back in those days in Los Angeles.
Rick Knickel. I've been on the phone with Rick Knickel in the last year. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, hilarious. Honest to God, he's out in Vancouver.
What's he doing? Is he working at a Meineke? Were you calling him to get some repair work done?
I love it.
Minute Muffler Rick speaking. No, Colorado.
Free shout-outs. Jeez, it's a tough economy and you're giving away advertising? Come on.
Colorado, Dallas. Everyone is so big on Colorado, and now it looks like there's Landeskog's been removed, and there's that whole emotional thing that's going to go down. Like, how does Dallas push back here? I watched a bit of that game. Like, I didn't think Dallas was that bad, but are you rewriting off your Stars?
No, it just fell apart at the end.
Well, it is funny because you talk about everyone big on Colorado. Everyone was down going into the playoffs on the Stars. I do think they lost 7 in a row or 6 of their last 7, but they were resting guys, and Ottinger wasn't playing much, and DeSmith wasn't playing well, and but I was the same way. We've had this conversation here many times. Like, Stars were my pick to win the Cup last year, and I still think that an argument can be made that they might be the deepest team in the league still, but without Heiskanen. And also the way they finished this year. And I'm not sure I have the faith in Ottinger that I used to have either. All those things combined, and then you look at Colorado and how they bolstered themselves up the middle so well. I get it. I get why everyone, and I flip too. I picked Colorado to win that series because I just think that depth is there that matches the Stars, but also the high end. The high end talent in Colorado far exceeds the high end talent in Dallas.
The Rantanen thing is quite comical as well. It's like he came and now you're playing Colorado.
Can you believe it?
You got to get in the series in a big way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that series is over. I'm certainly not calling for a sweeper, and I think that's going to go 6 or 7. But I do think that they go in advantage Avs in a big way. And it's the same when I look at the Kings. I still think the Kings are going to beat the Oilers because the Oilers don't have any depth anymore. They're nowhere near what they were last year. But they still have, the 2 of the top 3 or 4 players in the world. I don't know how healthy they are, but, that gives you a chance anyway.
We had Ross Mahoney on in hour number 1. He's the assistant general manager of the Washington Capitals. And if there has ever been a Rodney Dangerfield team going into a playoffs, it's the Washington Caps. Everybody, even the most casual hockey fans, are like, I don't believe that regular season. They don't got a chance. Montreal's probably going to win. No chance here. Ross would disagree. Alexander Ovechkin, the grade 8. I don't necessarily see this as a cakewalk for Montreal.
No, God, no. Put it this way. I'm not all that impressed with Montreal, but I took them to beat the Caps because the Caps, the way they finished the season, the Ovi hype and spotlight's over. Protas is out. Their goaltending was horrific the last 3 weeks of the season. There are a lot of things that kind of conspired for me to say the same thing. Like, even if they do get by Montreal, I don't think anybody in the league thinks that Washington is for real, can get by someone in the second round. You're right. Isn't that amazing how the sentiment changes so quickly? I mean, they were the second best team in the National Hockey League this year. They obviously did it because of some crazy depth. Strome is very underrated. They've got depth pieces that nobody talks about. And I know that at the top of that list is your Andrew Mangiapane. I'm just kidding because I love it. I love Mosh, but and he's a fourth liner. He's a fourth liner on that team right now. It's amazing. So I'll be watching that series.
It's funny because Maz said, right, like how almost listening. It's almost like Montreal's the favorite, and it's like, whoa, easy.
Yeah,
JT Marlin stock. No, like, we still remember that they're the Washington Capitals are a real deal. Okay, we're going to bring this full circle, and we started talking about Garbage Bag Day with the Flames. We're going to play the clip here, and then we're going to talk about Jim Rutherford's comments today.
Down to money with him. You know, he said before he wants to play with his brothers, and that would be partly out of our control, in our control, if we brought his brothers here. So there's many moving parts here. Agree 100%. This franchise cannot afford to lose a guy like Quinn Hughes, and we will do everything we can to keep him here. But at the end of the day, it'll be his decision. Well, we got to be careful with tampering here, so we'll just leave it at that.
He's obviously talking about Quinn Hughes. We talked about on this show a few months ago, and I was like, I strongly feel there is no way that Vancouver is going to be able to keep him. And he was just like, the things are piling on. It's like the divorce. It's like, yeah, I remember when you did this, and then you did this, and then you did this. And then, not that I've ever been divorced, but it's like, you know, Maz, you could speak to that. But it's like, we have so many issues, and it's like the brothers ain't coming to Vancouver. But if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan today, Eric, you are like you're burning something somewhere.
Well, and that's the Vancouver way, right? They like to burn things. So, good way of putting it. Look, what a gong show. What an absolute gong show. And you know what? Jim Rutherford's got to stand there and understand that he's been a big part of the problem with this mess, right? Him and Alvin they haven't dealt with this properly. I will still maintain they traded the wrong guy this year. That room is completely dysfunctional by every account. Anyone I've talked to just says it's just an absolute mess. No one wants to be there. And that's how you lose superstars. I bet Quinn Hughes before this season was probably thinking, yeah, I'll sign in Vancouver for an extra 8 years and I'll cash in big time. But now, after what he just went through this year, who wants to be part of that gong show, right? And the fans, you know, I'm scared to say anything negative about the fans, so I'll just say the fans. And that's all I'm saying. And, you know, it's just not a place where I think many guys want to be right now. You know, that is an interesting clip that you just played. Boy, is that close to tampering too, as he alluded to.
He is the problem if he doesn't know the line on tampering. And then how delusional are you to think that the Hughes brothers are going to come your way?
Yeah.
Like the only thing you maybe would have is Quinn Hughes to trade, but you can't do that because you're trying to. It's like, buddy, the game might have passed you by.
Yeah, that's a thought I've had for quite a long time when it comes to him, and that's partly why they've got Alvin in place to kind of take it over. But I'm not sure the face should be there either. So anyway, it's an absolute mess, and as I always say, we on this side of the mountains, on the correct side of the mountains, absolutely love it. When when everything's falling apart over there, it looks good on them.
Well, there's no denying the talent of all of the Hughes brothers, but because, and I heard this on a show earlier today, and I can't remember which one, they're not big in stature, and they are injury prone. It's been shown. And somebody like a Quinn Hughes playing defense, that's a tough spot to be. You're getting pounded all the time, and guys are coming after you, and there's going to be wear and tear.
47 minutes a night.
Exactly. And that's what I worry about with them. They're so talented, but it's the durability because they're not monsters. They're not built that way. They're not, you know, like a monster, like Vegas has 6 of them on their decor. That's what I worry about them. It's not talent. It's longevity, being able to stay healthy in a game that still is physical at times.
Yeah. I mean, Jack has been going through the ringer his whole career. He just can't stay healthy. But, you know, Quinn, look, there's no question in my mind. And Quinn, even to me, almost narrowed the gap this year between him and Makar. I've always said Makar's here, and I don't know, I guess Quinn's here. But, man, watching Quinn in the few games I did see him this year, I'm like, okay, I get it. When he is healthy, he's as dominant, almost as dominant as Makar. But yeah, the health thing is part of it. But hey, every team in the league would love to have him.
Starting tonight at 8 o'clock, Eric, Saskatchewan time, and Alberta time too, I guess now. Regina Pat Canadians, first game of the TELUS National Midget AAA Championship. Maddox Schultz and the Regina Pat Canadians. So we're following that all week here. So we'll keep you up to date too on how the Pat C's and young Maddox do.
I am actually will be very interested in that. That's awesome. I'm glad he got him there. That's not surprising. I mean, what a talent. I loved watching him in Calgary this year. Whoa. Yeah.
And you get to watch him again next year.
Yes. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Okay, my man.
You guys get to catch up on Wednesday. Go practice those drum solos, and then I get to talk to you next week.
Standing in the dark. You know the solo I'm talking about? Check it out.
Solo,
it's as simple as it comes.
I'll listen to it on the way home in my Cutlass.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the dumbest, most simple. It's like the Phil Collins song.
In the air tonight.
Yeah, like the easiest little drum riff ever. So that's right up my alley.
I thought you were going to do Wipeout. Okay, Eric Francis, our NHL insider for Southie Mainline Chrysler. If you're tired of feeling cramped in your vehicle, for $153 weekly, you can get into the 2024 Chrysler Grand Caravan or the 2024 Ram 3500. Right now, you can save $11,000. Southie Mainline Chrysler, worth the drive every time. Southie, the new king of trucks.